So today we are going to see about regulation of tone and posture. So physiologically posture refers to subconscious adjustment of tone in different muscles so as to maintain balance during displacement of the body caused by gravity or acceleration. So this is the definition of posture. Regulation of a posture can be discussed under the two main headings, that is mechanism involved in maintenance of posture and role of different regions of nervous system in maintenance of posture. The erect posture is a prerequisite to most of the somatic motor activities of man and other higher animals. In human being, maintenance of erect posture is more difficult than the quadruped animals because the tall body has to maintain in erect posture over a small base provided by 2 feet. So maintenance of erect posture during the movement of the body and more while during a physical work, that is dynamic posture. So it is more complicated than the maintenance of posture while standing erect. So the task is accomplished by a very complex and coordinated reflex activity according in response to afferent input from muscle, joint, vestibular apparatus and the visual receptors. So that's why we will learn this topic under the two main headings, that is mechanism involved in maintenance of posture and what are the different regions having the role in the maintenance of posture. So mechanism involved in maintenance of posture. So you must know the muscle tone. Muscle tone is defined as resistance offered to active or passive stretch. And second thing we will learn, that is postural reflexes. So postural reflexes helps to maintain the body in upright and balanced position. They also provide adjustment necessary to maintain a stable posture during voluntary activity. So all this maintenance of posture and the tone can be possible because of the anti-gravity muscles. So depending upon the direction of a fall, any of the muscle of the trunk and the limb can act as an anti-gravity muscle to maintain the posture of the body. Now first we will see muscle tone. What is muscle tone? It is a sustained partial state of contraction of the muscle under resting condition. So different proprioceptors present in the muscle, tendon of the muscle, joint, ligaments and the fascia. So these proprioceptors are the receptors which gives information about change in position of a different part of body in the space. So these receptors are muscle spindles, Golgi tendon organs, Pacinian corpuscles and the free nerve endings. So they will send the proprioceptive signals and according to that the tone of the muscle will vary. So muscle tone is sustained partial state of contraction. It is purely a function of myotatic stretch reflex. It is due to low frequency and asynchronous discharge of gamma motor neuron. So any abnormality of the muscle tone will lead to hypotonia or a hypertonia. So in the diagram you can see the structure of muscle spindle. So this is the muscle belly, you can see here, and in this muscle belly a stretch receptor is present and this is called as muscle spindle. So muscle spindles are stretch receptors present in the skeletal muscle and these are meant for proprioceptive mechanism. Each skeletal muscle contains muscle spindle of various numbers depending upon the task performed. So muscle involved in precision movement contains many more spindles than muscle used to maintain a posture. So hand muscles have approximately 80 muscle spindles, which is 20% of the numbers of muscle spindles that is contained in back muscles of weighing 100 times than that of the hand muscles. So you can see here the muscle spindle, the afferents are going from the muscle spindles to the spinal cord level. Also you can see this diagram of muscle spindle, which is consist of, this is the muscle spindle. It consists of intrafusal fibers. So inside this there is a intrafusal fibers. So in each muscle spindle about 3 to 10 small muscle fibers are present. These are the intramuscle fibers, and it is encapsulated in a thin connective tissue. It is encapsulated in thin connective tissue capsule containing fluid. The muscle spindles are present in between and parallel to the extrafusal muscle fibers. So in the diagram you can see these are the extrafusal muscle fibers. So these muscle spindles are present in between and parallel to the extrafusal muscle fibers. So intrafusal muscle fibers consist of this non-contractile portion which does not contain any contractile elements, that is actin and the myosin filaments. Portion on either side of the central part. So in the central part there is no contractile elements, whereas on the either side there are the polar end, that this it contains the non-contractile contractile elements, that is actin and the myosin. So central part of each intrafusal fibers is a sensory portion. So central part is a sensory portion. Stretching or contraction of polar striated regions of the intrafusal fibers causing stretching of the central part. So as soon as this polar ends get stretched, the central part of this muscle spindle gets stretched. The intrafusal fibers present in the skeletal muscle are of two types. So we have a nuclear back fibers and a nuclear chain fibers. Each muscle spindle contains about 2 to 5 nuclear back fibers, which are about 30 micrometer in diameter and 7 mm in length. In these fibers, many nuclei are arranged in expanded bag in the central portion, and hence they are called as nuclear bag fibers. Nuclear chain fibers are 15 mm in diameter and 4 mm in length. In these fibers, nuclei are arranged in a single chain in the center part of the nuclear chain fiber, hence the name called as nuclear chain fiber. Approximately 6 to 10 nuclear chain fibers exist in each typical muscle spindle. Now here the important one is nerve supply of muscle spindle. The muscle spindle is innervated by both the sensory nerve endings and via gamma efferents it has a motor nerve supply. So it is the only receptor in the body which has got motor nerve supply also. Sensory nerve supply, center non-contractile part. So this is center non-contractile part of the intrafusal fiber is the receptor portion. So group 1A fibers, that is the primary nerve endings, from this central portion they carries the sensory information to the spinal cord. So they have a diameter, group 1A fibers having the diameter about 17 micron and carry the impulses at the rate of 70 to 120 meter per second. Primary nerve endings supplying both the nuclear back fibers, these primary nerve endings supplying nuclear back fibers and the nuclear chain fibers. Then type 2 group fibers, they are secondary fibers. So sensory nerve endings, they innervate the receptor portion of mainly nuclear chain fibers. So group 2 fibers are innervating the nuclear chain fibers only. Means group 1A innervate the nuclear back fibers, nuclear chain fibers, the central portion, whereas group 2 innervate the polar end of nuclear chain fibers. The motor supply via gamma efferents. So A alpha, A gamma efferents which supplying the nuclear back fibers. So gamma efferents is supplying the nuclear back fibers. It's called as the plate endings. And the static gamma fibers, they are supplying both nuclear back fibers and nuclear chain fibers. So dynamic fibers primarily innervate the striated pole of nuclear back fibers. So this is dynamic, innervate the polar end of the back fibers and they are called as the plate endings. These fibers increase the sensitivity of 1A afferent fibers to stretch. 1A afferent firing rate of a given velocity of a stretch is increased by the discharge of the dynamic gamma fibers. Static gamma fibers primarily involved and they innervate the striated pole of the nuclear chain fibers where they end as a network of trail endings. They increase the tonic activity in the 1A afferent fiber at any given muscle length. So they also give a branch to some nuclear back fibers which have characteristics similar to those of nuclear chain fibers. So these fibers are called as a static nuclear back fibers. So we have a nuclear back fibers, nuclear chain fibers. Nuclear back fibers mainly respond whenever there is a change in the velocity of a stretch, that is a dynamic stretch, and the nuclear chain fibers mainly responses when the stretch is sustained. So sustained stretch, the firing rate of these nuclear chain fibers will increase through the group 2 fibers. So group 1A and the group 2 fibers will carry the afferent to the spinal cord and via efferents they are again supplying the polar end of nuclear back fibers and nuclear chain fibers. So here again you can see the motor supply and the sensory supply. So sensory supply via 1A and group 2 fibers from this central portion of nuclear back and the nuclear chain fiber respectively. The efferent you can see from the gamma efferents, alpha gamma fibers, these are they supplying the contractile polar end of nuclear back fibers and nuclear chain fibers. So the 1A fibers are supplying nuclear back fibers called as the flower spray ending. The group 2 fibers which are supplying the nuclear chain fibers, they are called as the flower spray ending, and group 1A fibers supplying nuclear back fibers, they are called as the annulospiral endings. and gamma fibers which are supplying the polar end, they are called as a trait ending or plate endings. Here also you can see the alpha efferents. So the efferents from the alpha motor neuron, they are supplying the extrafusal muscle fibers. So they are helpful in the muscle contraction. Now what is reflex? So reflex is an involuntary response to a stimulus which depend on integrity of reflex pathway. So it consists of reflex arc, monosynaptic reflex and polysynaptic reflex. So in the diagram you can see the reflex. So the reflex is an involuntary response to a peripheral nervous stimulation. So it is a monosynaptic reflex from the muscle spindles. The afferents are going, the sensory nerves are going through the dorsal horn neuron in the spinal cord. Then the synapse will taking place in the anterior horn cell, and from the anterior horn cell the efferents will come and it will innervate the muscle through the motor nerve. So this is called as a reflex mechanism. The receptor organs, afferent, center and the efferent and the effector organ. So central delay in monosynaptic reflex is 0.6 to 0.9 milliseconds. Reaction time is 19 to 24 milliseconds. All these events requires a time to take place, and this monosynaptic reflex is well developed in anti-gravity muscles, that is the extensor of legs and flexor of arms. So example of monosynaptic reflex: knee jerk, ankle jerk, bicep jerk and tricep jerk. So in the diagram you can see the complete reflex arc. So this is the muscle. So this is the intrafusal muscle, you can see from the intrafusal muscle, from central portion, that is non-contractile portion, gives afferents via 1A fibers through the posterior root ganglion. It is going inside the spinal cord. It will relay in the spinal cord. Then there is a gamma motor neurons. From the gamma motor neurons the efferents are coming and they are supplying the contractile portion, that is a polar end of the intrafusal fibers. Also you can see the fibers, 1A fibers which are going in the spinal cord. They are influencing the alpha motor neuron. So this is the alpha motor neuron, this is gamma motor neuron. So from the alpha motor neuron the efferents will come and they are supplying the extrafusal muscle fibers. So this is extrafusal muscle fibers, this is intrafusal muscle fibers. So alpha motor neuron supplying extrafusal muscle fiber causes contraction. So this is also having the higher controls. So the fibers coming from the higher centers are influencing the alpha motor neuron. Also fibers coming from the higher centers are influencing the gamma motor neuron also. So this is the reflex arc. So the afferent neurons. So first is the sensory receptor, that is muscle spindles that represent in the skeletal muscle. Afferents via 1A or a group 2 fibers will go to the integration centers in the central nervous system, that is ventral gray horn. From there the synapses, these afferents will get synapses with alpha neuron, and the alpha neuron with the efferents will gives a efferent fibers to effector organs, that is muscle spindles. So alpha neuron will supplies the extrafusal muscle fibers, and extrafusal muscle fibers will cause the muscle contraction. So the stimulus will get the response. Now what are the function of muscle spindles? So muscle spindle is a receptor of a stretch reflex, which are a fundamental reflexes to regulate the posture. And how the muscle spindles regulate the posture? Via length servo mechanism and a follow up servo mechanism. So what is length servo mechanism? So we have seen we have a dynamic stretch reflex and a static stretch reflex. So dynamic stretch reflex, so when the muscle is stretched suddenly, the length of the spindle receptor increases suddenly, as in the intrafusal fibers. Sudden increase in length of the spindle receptor stimulates the primary nerve endings powerfully. The primary nerve endings supplying the nuclear back fibers shows a dynamic response. So if there is a sudden stretch, the discharge in the primary nerve endings get increased. So this is a normal discharge. As soon as the stretch increased or there is a change in the velocity of stretch, the response in the primary nerve ending is get increased. So they discharge most rapidly while the change is being stretched and transmit the strong signals to the spinal cord. So very strong reflex contraction of the same muscle from which the signals are originated, and this is called dynamic stretch reflex, the function of which is to oppose sudden change in length. So for example, knee jerk and tricep. So there is sudden increase in the discharge whenever there is sudden change. Now static stretch reflex. So when muscle is stretched slowly and kept stretched, the signals are continuously sent through primary and the secondary nerve endings, supplying the nuclear chain fibers only. So this is nuclear chain fibers. So whenever the stretch is continuous, so the supply is increasing from the mainly the nuclear chain fibers, which carries the information via group 2 fibers. So you can see here the number of discharges increases whenever the stretch is sustained. So they discharge at an increased rate throughout the period of muscle stretch. This is called a static stretch reflex. This static stretch causes the muscle contraction as long as the muscle is maintained of excessive length. This static stretch reflex plays important role in control of posture. So when the person is standing, gravity causes continuous stretch on the anti-gravity muscle, making them to remain in a contracted state as long as gravity is causing the stretch. So from the above, it is clear that primary nerve endings respond to both changes in the length, static stretch reflex, as well as a change in the rate of stretch, that is dynamic stretch reflex. So the response of the primary endings to the phasic as well as static events in the muscle is important because the prompt marked phasic response helps to dampen oscillation caused by conduction delay in feedback loop regulating the muscle length. Now what is the role of gamma efferent discharge in adjusting the spindle sensitivity by preventing unloading? So as discussed above, the firing rate of primary nerve endings increases when the muscle is stretched and causes reflex contraction of muscle by increased alpha motor neuronal activity. So contraction of extrafusal muscle fibers make the muscle spindle slack and decreases the firing rate. So in the first diagram you can see this is the normal one. So contraction of the extrafusal muscle fibers make the muscle spindle slack and decrease the firing rate of 1A fibers. So this is the slack muscle which is going to decrease the discharge from the afferent fibers, and there is a decrease the firing rate. The decrease rate of 1A afferent discharge that occurs during muscle contraction is called as the unloading. So here there is a unloading of the muscle spindles and is functionally disadvantageous because the CNS stops receiving information about the rate and extent of muscle shortening. By the activity of gamma motor neurons, this unloading is prevented. So how this unloading is prevented by gamma motor neurons? So they causes a striated poles of intrafusal fibers of the muscle spindle to shorten along with shortening of extrafusal fibers during muscle contraction. So as a result of contraction of striated polar region of intrafusal fibers, the central receptor regions of intrafusal fibers remain stretched during muscle contraction and this unloading does not occur. So you can see in the first diagram the muscle at rest, then the muscle is get stretched here. So the afferent discharges is increasing from the 1A fibers. Now this will lead to the contraction of the muscles. So there is a shortening of this muscle spindle and there is a, you can see the shortening is taking place and the shortening will lead to unloading of the muscles. There is a no discharge from the 1A fibers. So as soon as there is a no discharge of the 1A fibers, the activity of gamma motor neurons will get increased and these gamma motor neurons will causing the striated poles of the intramuscular fibers to get stretched. So you can see the muscle is slightly the stretched one. So they are stretching these striated poles and because of the stretching of the striated poles you will get increase the 1A discharge from this central portion and you will get the discharge. So in this way this unloading is get prevented by the gamma efferent which are supplying the striated poles. So as a result of contraction of the striated polar regions of intrafusal fibers, the central receptor region of intrafusal fibers remains stretched during the muscle contraction and unloading does not occur. So in this way gamma motor neuron activity adjusts the sensitivity of muscle spindle. So dynamic gamma motor neuron primarily innervate the striated pole of nuclear back fibers. So when they are fired, only nuclear back fiber shortens because the nuclear back fibers are responsible for the phasic, that is velocity sensitive change. So portion of 1A afferent responses to stretch, stimulation of dynamic gamma fibers increases the phasic activity without affecting the static activity. So gamma efferents primarily innervate the striated pole of nuclear chain fibers and they will get stimulated only when the nuclear chain fibers are shortened and because the nuclear chain fibers are responsible for the static change. So component of 1A afferent response to stretch and the stimulation of the static gamma efferent increases the static activity without affecting the phasic activity. So during phasic activity only 1A afferent discharge will increase and in the static activity the group 2 fibers discharges will increase. So gamma motor neuron mediated the change in length of the intrafusal fibers and is called as a length servo mechanism. So in the diagram there is a role of coactivation of alpha and the gamma motor neurons. So during voluntary contractions, the motor control system causes alpha gamma coactivation, preventing the unloading of muscle spindles that would occur during muscle contraction. So increased gamma discharge along the increased alpha discharge during voluntary activity maintains constant 1A discharge. The constant 1A discharge input from the CNS during the voluntary movements and indicates the motor command is being carried out. So this alpha gamma coactivation also termed as follow up servo mechanism. So in the diagram this is the intrafusal muscle fibers which are giving afferents 1A going to central nervous system, rely on the alpha motor neuron and the efferents will causing the contraction of this extrafusal muscle fibers. So extrafusal muscle fibers will get now the shortening of the muscles. So the fibers will causing the shortening of the muscles via monosynaptic reflex, and that lead to muscle contraction. So there is a role of gamma loop. So even before the CNS respond to the information provided by the 1A fibers, the increased 1A activity directly stimulate the alpha motor neurons of spinal cord and causing forceful muscle contraction, and they are helpful in the sufficient tension generated in the skeletal muscle. So this change in alpha motor neuron activity in the spinal cord without the higher motor command system, that is called as follow up servo mechanism. So this stretch reflex is having the higher controls. So you can see the fibers A, B and the C which are supplying the alpha and the gamma motor neurons. They have a direct connections from A, B and the C. So they are having the influence on the alpha motor neuron. They are also having the influence of gamma motor neurons. So stretch reflex is having the higher control. So stretch reflex is a spinal reflex. So direct modulation of gamma neuronal activity through these higher centers. So it has a different tracts which having the higher control from the central nervous system on the alpha and the gamma motor neuron. So these are the areas you can see here. So this is the motor cortex, basal ganglion, cerebellum, vestibular nucleus. So these are having the influence on alpha and the gamma motor neuron. You can see here this area is a facilitatory reticular formation and is a large area in the brainstem which discharges spontaneously in response to afferent inputs. So this increases the discharge of gamma motor neuron and stretch reflex become hyperactive. So it is having the facilitatory influence on the gamma motor neuron. Then second one is the inhibitory reticular formation. This green area you can see inhibitory reticular formation. A small area which does not discharge spontaneously, it acts by inhibiting gamma efferent neuronal discharge and decreasing the muscle sensitivity. So it has an inhibitory influence. So facilitatory reticular formation is having the facilitatory influence on gamma motor neuron. The inhibitory reticular formation is having the inhibitory gamma motor neuronal influence. Then the vestibulospinal tract, which carries the information from the vestibular nucleus, and it has a facilitatory influence on alpha motor neuron. And this facilitatory, inhibitory and the vestibular nucleus is influenced by the other parts of brain, that is motor cortex and the basal ganglia. You can see motor cortex, basal ganglia, they are having the facilitatory influence on the facilitatory reticular formation. Then the cerebellum influence on the vestibular nuclei, and vestibular nuclei will forms the vestibulospinal tract and further the influence on the alpha motor neuron as a excitatory input, whereas cerebellum is having the inhibitory input to the inhibitory reticular formation. So there is always a balance of this facilitation and the inhibition at the level of alpha and the gamma motor neuron. So that's why this cerebellum is a site for linkage of alpha gamma coactivation. Though the stretch reflex become hypoactive whenever there is cutting or destruction of afferent or efferent nerve to the muscle, or stimulation of inhibitory areas of the brain or inhibition of facilitatory areas in the brain and the hypothyroidism. So, all these conditions the stage reflex become hypoactive. Then if there is a destruction of any of the inhibitory areas in the brain or a stimulation of facilitatory areas in the brain or factors which increase the gamma efferent discharge or hyperthyroidism, in all these conditions stage reflex become hyperactive. So, in the diagram you can see the function of each and every part from the higher centers and how they are influenced the alpha and the gamma motor neuron. So, here they have given some the transaction and that will shows activity whether the tone is increased in the muscles or tone is decreased in the muscles. So, first transaction you can see that is the XX. So, it is higher in the midbrain, that is a decerebrate rigidity. So, here the overactivity of the facilitatory areas of the brainstem reticular formation. So, activity of the inhibitory area of the brainstem becomes out of control. So, inhibitory control from the cortex and the basal ganglia is going to be decreased because of this transaction. So, this facilitatory area will get more active and the inhibition is less. So, the inhibition is less, decrease inhibition and there is a facilitatory area discharge is going to be increased. So, that lead to the increase in the tone in the muscles. So, that lead to exaggeration of the extensor muscle tone in the anti-gravity muscles due to the gamma motor neuronal activity. So, gamma discharge will increase and lead to increase in the tone in the anti-gravity muscles. So, such a preparation. Now, you can see the second transaction, that is the YY transaction. So, here there is a cutting of the anterior lobe of the cerebellum. So, because of the cutting of anterior lobe cerebellum, again the inhibitory influence in this inhibitory reticular formation is again to be decreased. So, inhibition is again decreased here. So, facilitation is much more increased. So, there is again more increased in the tone in the muscles and a rigidity will increased in this transaction. So, cerebellum is remote at the level of YY. So, rigidity is further increased. So, this rigidity is due to increased due to mainly the alpha neuronal activity, because from cerebellum the fibers are go to the vestibular nuclei and vestibular nuclei will increase the alpha motor neuronal discharge. So, there is increased in the alpha motor neuronal activity. If there is a brain is transected at the ZZ level, so this is the ZZ level, so it is slightly in between the pons and the medulla. So, the higher control, that is inhibitory control on this alpha and the gamma motor neuron is to be lost. Yes, here facilitatory influence is also lost. So, tone is going to be decreased in the muscle and we will get the hypotonia in the muscle. So, the tone will lost and the muscle becomes flaccid at the ZZ transaction. So, if you are cutting the basal ganglia and the cortex decerebrate rigidity, there is increased in the tone. If the cutting of anterior lobe of the cerebellum YY transaction, there is again more increased in the tone of the muscle, but it is due to the increased alpha neuron activity. And if you are cutting or you are giving a transaction at the lower side, so the tone will decrease and the muscle get flaccid. So, in this diagram you can see how this higher centers will influence the alpha and the motor neurons. So, cerebral cortex you can see, this is cerebral cortex, it is giving the influence on the alpha motor neuron via corticospinal tract from the reticular formation facilitator influence the alpha motor neuron positively. Reticular formation, inhibitory reticular spinothalamic tract inhibits the alpha motor neurons from the cerebellum via vestibular nuclei and the vestibulospinal tract. They will stimulate the alpha motor neurons. On the other side, from the cerebellum and from the cortex, the reticular formation is facilitatory one. It increases the gamma discharge. The reticular formation, the inhibitory spinothalamic tract inhibit the gamma efferent discharge. So, there is always balance of the discharges to the gamma and the alpha motor neurons. From the muscle spindles via spinothalamic tract, the efferents are going to cerebellum. So, the cerebellum, cerebral cortex and basal ganglia, they influence the alpha and the gamma motor neuron. So, what are the functions of stretch reflex? So, they having the role in regulation of muscle tone, role in maintaining posture and a role in control the voluntary movements. Now, you can see here, so how they maintains the muscle tone. So, by facilitatory area in the pons and inhibitory area in the lower part of the medulla, these are send the impulses to the gamma motor neurons. So, facilitatory area is intrinsically active. So, it continues to discharge facilitatory impulses causing the constant activation of gamma motor neuron. Inhibitory area in the medulla becomes active only if receives impulses from cerebellum and the cerebral cortex. So, role in maintaining the posture mainly via the static components. So, the prominent in the medial extensor muscles and the anti-gravity muscles. How it controls the voluntary movements? So, the constant level of 1A input to the CNS during the movement indicates the motor command is being carried out. So, an increase in the activity of 1A indicate that motor command is not being carried out. So, CNS uses this information to readjust the command to the spinal cord. So, in addition, the 1A activity is also used in the spinal cord level to adjust the alpha motor neuronal activity as per the need. So, 1A activity provides the alpha motor neuron with the source of excitatory input coming from the higher centers. So, in this way, the muscle stretch reflex, the stretch reflex with the higher controls, they are helpful in control of voluntary movements. This is another proprioceptors that is present in the muscle, that is a Golgi tendon organs. It is a high threshold stretch receptor located in the tendon and the musculoaponeurotic junctions. Usually 10 to 15 fibers are connected in a series with one Golgi tendons. So, each Golgi tendon organ basically consists of a group of nerve endings. So, these are the group of nerve endings encapsulated, and these are so basically consist of these nerve endings covered by the capsule of connective tissue. The Golgi organs are supplied by 1B fibers. These are the sensory type of fibers now supplying the Golgi tendons organs. So, they will go to the spinal cord and they causing the reflex contraction of the muscles via alpha motor neuron. So, pathway and the reflex activity for this Golgi tendon organ. So, from muscles, the Golgi tendon organ will give the afferents via 1B fibers to the spinal cord. In the spinal cord, they will relay in the interneurons that releasing the inhibitory mediator, that is a glycine. Because of this inhibitory neurotransmitter, the alpha motor neuron is get inhibited here. This is the inhibitory neuron, and it will give the signals to the extraphyseal fibers via alpha motor neuron and causes the sudden relaxation of the muscle. So, pathway for this is called as a inverse stretch reflex. So, when muscle contracts, muscle tension increases, Golgi tendon organ detects the muscle tension and send impulses through the 1A group, 1B fibers which enter the spinal cord through the dorsal root. In the spinal cord, group 1B afferent stimulate the inhibitory interneurons, release of glycine, so which inhibits alpha motor neuron and causes relaxation of the muscle. So, the originally contracted muscle will get relaxed. At the same time, due to reciprocal innervation, the antagonistic muscles is excited. So, Golgi tendon reflex will give a protective function. So, the strong and the potentially damaged muscle force will reflexly inhibit the muscle and causing the muscle to lengthen instead of trying to maintain the force and risking the damage. So, it helps in the regulation of tension during normal muscle activity. So, this inhibition is also called as autogenic inhibition. So, there is a reciprocal inhibition, it is a postsynaptic inhibition. Movement of agonist muscle is not obstructed by contraction of antagonist muscle. Inverse stretch reflex, that is we have seen now, that is autogenic reflex, it is relaxation in response to strong contraction. So, whenever muscle is strongly contracted, automatically it is get inhibited via Golgi tendon organ and it prevents the injury to muscle. So, this is the control of muscle tone. The areas cerebral cortex, cerebellum, basal ganglion, vestibular nuclei having the influence on the bulboreticular facilitary areas, having the excitatory influence, cerebral cortex and the cerebellum having the inhibitory influence of bulboreticular inhibitory areas. So, both are influencing the gamma motor discharge. So, bulboreticular facilitary will excite the gamma motors and the bulboreticular inhibitory areas in the medulla will inhibit the gamma motor discharge. So, further stretching of the muscle spindle will take place. Stretching of the muscle spindle will causing the activation of alpha motor neuron and finally it causes the muscle contraction. So, in this way the muscle tone is maintained via higher centers. This is the diagram is showing the different level of central nervous system and how they are useful in the adjust and smoothing the movements. So, the higher centers, cerebral cortex, association areas will help in the generate the commands for voluntary movements. So, sensory inputs are going to the brainstem areas. So, basal ganglia will help in the plan movements. Subcortical nuclei and the brainstem nuclei will help in the adjusting the posture. Cerebellum help in the coordinated movements. So, all this information will again go to the cortex and from cortex the descending pathway will come to spinal cord and execute the movements and the muscle will get contract and that the smooth and the voluntary movements will takes place in the proper posture.